After I dispatch Conor Benn for the second time, I want Canelo or Crawford. Those are the words of Chris Eubank Jr. And let me counterpunch. I think after another fight with Conor Benn, I think people will get accustomed to Chris Eubank Jr. being in the limelight, having the type of following that he's accumulated through the help of his father and his opponent's father. I say, why not? I was, and I do remember the buildup or the talks about Eubank fighting Crawford and Eubank fighting Canelo. So, yeah, they have similar interest on wanting to fight Eubank. So I think Eubank's in a good position. He's big enough. I think he's of age. I think he's one of those guys that a fight can easily be made as far as age-wise, because senior himself can be complicated at times, because a lot of fights like the Triple G fight didn't go about and didn't happen because of the demands that were from senior there. So I do like the idea of that. However, I will say this. After you dispatch Conor Benn, I should say if you dispatch Conor Benn, because Conor Benn is a guy, I believe, his drivenness got him past rounds 10, 11, and 12, especially 12. If it wasn't for his drivenness and his drive, which is the same thing, he wouldn't have made it out of that fight. But he did it in a way that he wasn't going to let his family down, himself down, or anybody else down. So I would say this about Chris Eubank Jr. He may be looking past that fight a bit. I know he said after I do that, but, keep in mind, he has to do that again. Now, he did it the first time. It was a very good fight, and I can't wait to see the second fight. I'm just worried about the weight stipulations. That's my only concern, because nobody wants to see anybody hurt due to the fact that they can't make weight healthy and putting themselves in danger trying to make that weight, which they shouldn't. Okay, Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn are two different size men. And if anything, you should give props to Conor Benn. But Conor Benn didn't have to make 160, so he didn't have to carry a bunch of weight around on him. He came in at 4 pounds under the 160-pound limit. So keep that in mind. He came in at like 156. You know what I mean? So no one made him come in at 160, where Chris Eubank Jr. had to come in at 160, which I think he is, honestly, too big for 160. So I think it should be at a catch weight of 164 or something like that, like Canelo and Chavez Jr. was. However, Conor Benn can't make that, because we've seen, I don't think he's just not that big a guy. And, and then he would, if he could, he would end up probably being slower or hindered in some way. So I don't know how that's going to work, but I think they should come in and in their respected weights. Like Chris Eubank Jr. could come in at 164 and Conor Benn could come in at 154 or 156 or whatever, or the last time he came in. But I think he will come in with a mindset of not to be so eager, because I think his eagerness was the reason why he didn't, catch Chris Eubank with those punches. But make no mistake about Conor Benn. Conor Benn can hurt Chris Eubank. Okay, he can say you soft or whatever. No, he got rocked with those shots. And we may add Terrence Crawford, and we can see if Terrence Crawford punches can do the same to Canelo. But if we get anything in the Canelo versus Terrence Crawford fight, speaking of them for a second, like we got with Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr., you got you a treat, win, lose, or draw. And you can't take anything from any of those guys, like you can't take anything from Benn nor Eubank. But you guys tell me what you think of Chris Eubank Jr.'s plans after he dispatches Conor Benn. He wants Crawford or Canelo. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!